conduct the research for your books? Do you research along the way? Do you research in advance? What are you doing with research?
Before, during, and after.
Before, during, and after, okay.
If I have the time, I like to do as much research in advance as I can, because oftentimes my thinking about a particular area is fuzzy, and if I can get a concrete idea of what the facts are, then it helps direct my thinking in terms of what kind of story I can actually create around the elements that I'd like to include. Sometimes in the course of the writing itself, I'll be confronted suddenly with the realization, oh, wait a minute, here's an area about which I know nothing but needs to be included. And if I can, then I'll try to do the research at that point in time. If I can't, I write a placeholder chapter. And that's simply, I try to imagine, using everything that I can, how this would play out if I really knew what I was talking about. The interesting thing is that when I go back and do the research, typically I find that I was able to imagine fairly well exactly how that would happen. I've had that happen with bombs and with police investigation work, all of those kinds of things. And very often then when I finish, I have to do the research to go back and fill in those placeholder chapters, or just additionally to give a sense of reality to whatever I've written about, if it's an area that I'm not tremendously familiar with. I established Minnesota, I established the Ojibwe culture, and I know a great deal about those things now. But within that, particularly when you're working with mystery or police procedural, there are going to be lots and lots of factual stuff, procedural stuff that needs to be researched. And so before, during, and after, it all comes into play. Hopefully by the time I get it to my publisher, I know all of the weapons stuff is
right. All the weapons stuff is definitely nailed down there. Question for you: when you're sitting in the coffee shop where you write, do you have internet access there that you would stop and look something up? Or, I mean, there's some authors that say to me, one of the reasons I go someplace else is that I don't want the internet to interrupt me, because then it's 3 emails and 3 words. And
it depends on how you use the internet. I try when I go to the coffee. I actually do choose coffee shops with internet access. And research is the primary reason. Occasionally I'll have to stop. Sometimes I have to stop and figure out how to spell the damn word. And it's not in spell check.
Right.
But I do like, if I feel it's significant enough at the moment to prevent me from moving forward until I've nailed it, then sure, I'll pop on and do the research very quickly. As long as it's not extensive, I don't have a problem with that.
Don't have a problem stopping to do that. Now, you're on a book a year at this point, writing a book a year. Is that a good pace for you? Do you ever sit there and say, wow, I wish I had 18 months this time? Or are you disciplined enough that you sort of hit the mark and still have time to promote the current book?
I don't know any writer. Most of us are on, the writers that I know, are on a contractual cycle of a manuscript a year, because that's commercial speed for New York publishing houses. And I don't know any writer that wouldn't say to you, yeah, I could have used a few more months to really make this book the best thing possible. But that's sort of what it boils down to. I think those people who are able to do well within the time constraints that are imposed are the ones that rise to the top, who are able to produce a good, compelling, logical, satisfying mystery, or whatever the genre happens to be, year after year after year. When I first was faced with that prospect, my first 3 books all came in a year and a half apart, probably. And when I was faced with the prospect of signing a contract that demanded 3 books, each a year apart, I wasn't sure that I could do that. I absolutely wasn't certain that I could do that. Well, proved to myself that I am. And I'm quite comfortable with a book a year. And of course, I would like a little more time.
Always.
It could be so much better.
It's so much better.
But I have to tell you, I really am quite, generally speaking, quite satisfied with what I'm able to create in that contractual time frame.
Now, do you ever have writer's block? Like, do you ever sit there and say, I have no idea where I'm going with this, and then what do you do?
I can't afford to have writer's block.
Okay.
The truth is that I have so many ideas bumping around in my head. The major question for me is, will I have time in my life to write them all? I do confront writer's block on a much smaller scale when I will go to the coffee shop in the morning and I know what I'm supposed to be working on, and I sit down and it's just not happening that day for whatever reason. What I've found that I could do to get beyond that is to think about something that happened because I know it's going to happen farther down the line, to think about, is there something else that's going to happen in this book that is compelling to me at the moment, and that does inspire me, and so I begin working on that. And what I found is that once I've done that, I've kind of greased the wheels, and I really can't get back, generally speaking, to what I'm supposed to be working on that day.
And so, yes, last week I heard an author that said that part of writing is thinking.
Oh,
and part of writing
tell my
is
wife
not
that. I'm staring off at this. I really am working on it.
But it was really, it's thinking about what you're going to be writing, and sometimes the words come a lot more easily if that thought process has happened on what's going on. And I thought that was very, very interesting. It was a writer's conference, and I thought, I hadn't really thought about that it's not just that they're plunking like you're playing piano keys all day long.
Do you know, very often a part of my process is walking, because I'm thinking about particular scenes or connections or motivations or relationships. There's something that's just not happening for me. I can take a walk, and just I guess coupling the physical activity with the whole mental thing works for me. I get lots of. The other thing that works for me is I'll go into a steam bath at the YMCA and sit. I don't know what it is about steam.
The thoughts pour out.
Indeed, they do. Right along with the steam, the thoughts are coming out.
And that's going to move you in the next direction. Now, you often mention a writing group doing, well, and I'm going to read this, creme de la crime in your acknowledgments. What have they meant to you throughout the years? Because you really acknowledge them in each book, from what I was seeing.
Yeah, if I had to, if I'm asked, and I often am, what's the most important element in my own thinking in terms of my development as a writer, I always cite Creme de la Crime, which is my mystery writers support group. It's a group of 10 writers. We've been together 17 years now. 16 years, something like that.
It's not math, it's writing.
Exactly. Thank you. This is how Creme de la Crime came about. When I realized with that first novel, Iron Lake, that I was writing a mystery about which I knew nothing, I took a class at a place called The Loft, which is in Minneapolis. It's the largest independent center devoted to the written word in the United States. It's very well known. But I took a class called How to Write a Mystery. It worked. I wrote Iron Lake based on the early work that I did in that class. When the class was finished, a number of us who wanted to be writers decided we wanted to form a support group, a critique group that would exist beyond this class. And so Creme de la Crime was born. We meet every Thursday night to read and critique each other's works. And it's just been a dynamic, very important educational part of my process.
And I think also writing is such a lonely thing that no one really thinks about how lonely it is all day long, and at least it's a chance to interact with people who understand what you're going through.
You know, every artist needs not only the critical support from an editorial eye or whatever, you need the support that says to you, it doesn't matter whether you're publishing, have been published, or will be published, what you're doing is important. Writing is important. Just the process, because it's something you're